Today's world map includes nations without states, nations in multiple states, and states. This mixture of situations reflects the evolution of politics, economics, and warfare over the last 600 years. Imperialism and colonialism are related ideas, but they're not the same. Imperialism is a broader concept. It includes a variety of ways of influencing another country or group of people, either by direct conquest, economic control, or cultural dominance. Colonialism is a particular type of imperialism in which people move into and settle on the land of another country. Examples of imperialism and colonialism can be found throughout history and all over the world, but modern European imperialism and colonialism are the most relevant to the current political map, and they occurred in two distinct waves. The first wave of European colonialism was led by Spain and Portugal, and then by France and Britain. These countries established large empires in the Americas, and they were motivated by God, gold, and glory. They wanted religious influence by spreading their form of Christianity, economic wealth from exploiting land, labor, and capital to enrich the home country, and political power by expanding their influence throughout the world. During the 19th century, the Spanish and Portuguese empires declined, but other European countries launched a second wave of colonization. Led by Great Britain, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, Italy, and Germany, this wave focused on controlling lands in Africa and Asia. In 1884 and 1885, representatives from the major empires of Europe met in the German capital of Berlin to lay out claims made on the continent of Africa. The Berlin Conference used these claims to form state boundaries in Africa. These boundaries showed little regard for the existing ethno-linguistic, cultural, and political boundaries currently in place. As a result, one colony might include a patchwork of rival cultural groups, and one cultural group might be divided among multiple colonies. While the European colonies in Africa and Asia did not last long, their legacy was strong, and it can be seen in contemporary maps and the links among countries. Colonists, inspired by nationalism, resisted the rule of Europeans, sometimes with violence. People in colonies wanted economic control over natural resources, free elections, and changes in society like racial equality and religious freedom. The United Nations, which was created in 1945, supported the demands of subject people in colonies for self-determination. Within a century of the Berlin Conference, almost all European colonial territories had won independence, a process known as decolonization. Many colonies gained independence politically, but not economically. Transnational corporations based in the former colonial powers continued to control the extraction of natural resources through mining and the cultivation of coffee, cocoa, bananas, and other crop plantations. A new form of colonization, called Neocolonialism, emerged in which control over developing countries was exerted through indirect means, whether economic, political, or even cultural power. From 1960 through 1970, 32 colonial territories in Africa gained independence. However, since independence was won by colonies rather than by cultural groups, the boundaries imposed by Europe remained in the newly independent states. As a result, cultural boundaries and political boundaries did not match. Cultural conflicts within countries then led to many civil wars. And then, because cultural groups spanned political borders, conflicts in one country often spilled over into other countries. Among the worst of these wars was in Rwanda in 1994, which led to charges of genocide. Before colonization by Belgium, two rival ethnic groups, the Hutu and Tutsi, had competed for control of territory and resources. In 1961, Rwanda won independence. The Hutu majority won elections to govern the country, but the rivalry with the Tutsi continued. In April of 1994, the Rwandan president, a Hutu, died when his plane was shot down. Although no one knew then who was responsible, Hutus exacted revenge by killing Tutsis and moderate Hutus on a vast scale. This type of mass organized killing in which people are targeted because of their race, religion, ethnicity, or nationality is called genocide. Within just a few months, close to 1 million Rwandans were killed, with many more migrating as refugees to neighboring countries. This pattern of independence, followed by civil wars and regional conflicts, is nothing new to the political landscape. Serious problems result when national and ethnic rivals are forced to share political space because of boundaries drawn by outside powers. And in many cases, one ethnicity may be spread over several states, so a conflict in one state quickly escalates into a regional one. Today, many of the geopolitical hotspots in Africa and the Middle East are difficult to solve because of borders that were established long ago. In the late 1980s, new leadership in the Soviet Union began to relax its grip over its satellite states in Eastern Europe. Finally, in November 1989, citizens of both Germanys brought down the wall that had divided the city of Berlin since 1961. In fact, within the next year and a half, Germany had reunited, and former satellite states of Eastern Europe were holding free elections without influence from the Soviet Union. But change in Europe did not end there. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, or the Soviet Union, which was a confederation of 15 republics, began to collapse as well. Eventually, these 15 republics would become independent countries. After 1990, the political boundaries were once again altered. The collapse of communism and the Soviet Union created an enormous power vacuum, not only in Europe, but also throughout the world. Most of Europe made a peaceful transition into the post-communist world. For example, in 1993, Czechoslovakia smoothly divided into the Czech Republic and the Republic of Slovakia, an event known as the Velvet Divorce. However, the breakup of Yugoslavia in 1991 was complicated and violent. Long-standing ethnic tensions erupted. Hundreds of thousands died in clashes between Serbs, Bosnians, and others before a handful of independent countries emerged. Many died because of ethnic cleansing, which was the forced removal of a minority ethnic group from a territory. The collapse of communism and the Soviet Union drastically changed the balance of power in Europe and throughout the world. Some former communist countries of Eastern Europe, as well as some of the independent states, have joined the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was the Western Military Alliance formed in 1949 to oppose Soviet military power in Europe. The balance of economic, political, and military power tilted towards Western Europe and the United States. This shift frightened the Russians, and they reacted by intervening militarily to support pro-Russian groups in the Republic of Georgia and Ukraine.